I grinded all the way to max level in Blox Fruits to answer one simple question. Why is Blox Fruits so popular? And after spending days playing the game, I think I have an idea of why people find it so addicting. But first, we'll have to go back to the very beginning. The early game of Blox Fruits is pretty simple. You bandit beat through the islands and focus on getting a good grinding fruit. There is really only 3 good fruits for grinding: Ice, Light, and Buddha. Ice and Light have their own weapon and are immune to enemy attacks if they don't have Haki, so they're both useful in the first sea and will get you to the second sea with minimal difficulties. Once you're at the second sea, you'll need to get Buddha. It's the best grinding fruit and will make your life infinitely easier. Buddha has increased M1 range and makes you take less damage. But to get Buddha's full power, you'll need to awaken the fruit. Fortunately, you really only need Buddha's transformation awakened, so all you need is 500 fragments and 1 completion of the Buddha raid. You can awaken the rest of the moves, but they really aren't needed until late game. Then you just want to continue grinding until the 3rd sea. In the 3rd sea, you basically just want to continue grinding until max level. Once you do this, you're officially in the late game. Now you can focus on things like race v4, weapons, and PvP. Blox Fruits has a bunch of puzzles and side quests you can do, like the Rainbow Haki quest and Soul Guitar puzzle. So there is still a lot of content to play through once you're max level. The biggest thing you'll be doing in the late game will be raid bosses and sea exploration. Sea exploration gives you the chance of encountering a bunch of sea events that will give you the materials and items you need to craft things like enchantment scrolls and the best stuff in the game. And raid bosses drop lots of items and materials needed to progress further in the late game. And right now, that's about it to Blox Fruits. There are a bunch of other things like observation haki and trading that'll make the video too long, so I made it as brief as possible. Anyway, now that we know about Blox Fruits progression, it's easier to answer the question, why is Blox Fruits so popular? In my opinion, it boils down to 3 things: nostalgia, One Piece, and accessibility. Blox Fruits is a game stuck in the past. The 1st and 2nd sea are very outdated and don't match the graphics of any new games on Roblox. This is a blessing and a curse depending on how you see it. Since the game is outdated, it doesn't have any insane graphics and almost any device can play the game with little problems. So it makes it much easier for the game to gain popularity, since it's open to a wider range of people. But this is also one of the main reasons people don't like Blox Fruits. It's nowhere near as advanced or good looking as some of the newer games on Roblox, making lots of people make the argument that Blox Fruits doesn't deserve its popularity. But other than the game being outdated, it also just gives off a nostalgic feeling. It's an extremely simple game and has really basic mechanics, making it feel like a game you would play back in 2018. And that's what a lot of people like about it. It's a breath of fresh air compared to the newer and complex games on Roblox, and the game is perfect for kids and people who just want a casual game to play. The most obvious reason Blox Fruits is so big is because it's a One Piece game. One Piece is by far the biggest anime right now, and there is no good free One Piece games. So Blox Fruits fills that gap. And since the game is based off One Piece, the developers already have content to base their game around. So they really don't need to think about new ideas, and can just instead focus on the work of One Piece, making it much easier to plan updates. The developers also don't need to build up a following and fan base, as they can just take from the One Piece community, making it even easier to get players on their game, and boosting their player count. But let's not discredit Blox Fruits for their community. If the game was bad, they wouldn't have a consistent player base of 500,000 people. So they obviously have incorporated One Piece very well into their game. Another obvious reason is the accessibility of Blox Fruits. The game can be played on every platform, and it's extremely easy to pick up. There is no advanced PvP mechanics and the only movement you have to learn is dashing and jumping. You can't block, and the only way to dodge attacks is through your observation haki, which can instantly be broken by some moves in the game. There is also a bunch of big AoE moves, and you don't take stun from M1s. So there isn't any crazy M1 combos like other games, and there is instead move-based combos with easy to hit big AoE moves. But other than PvP, since the game can be played on every platform, Blox Fruits maximizes their possible player base. It's to no one's surprise that Roblox's core player base is kids. Specifically kids playing on mobile. And since Blox Fruits can easily be played on mobile, it gets a huge player boost because of it. The game can also be played on consoles, furthering their player base to not just mobile and PC. So to sum up what I've said so far, Blox Fruits is popular because it reminds people of a simpler time of Roblox games. It's based off One Piece, and it's available to everyone, and is extremely easy to pick up. But I still haven't went over the reasons people don't like the game, and how the game could have even more players if they just fixed up some things. One of the biggest issues with Blox Fruits is that it looks like it was made by a 13-year-old back in 2016. This has already been addressed by the Blox Fruits developers, and they are working on reworking the islands for the first and second seas. They are also working on revamping the UI, and overall just upgrading the graphics of everything in the game. So that will hopefully not be a criticism of the game, if all of their plans go well. Another huge issue is that Blox Fruits is just a soulless bandit beta. A majority of the game's grind is just clicking M1 on NPCs for days. And without 2x XP, this grind can take an eternity. Hopefully this is changed, as the Blox Fruits developers have said they are working on making Blox Fruits more of an RPG, with new progression, quests, and other features. But right now, all we have is a single tweet, and no real leaks on game-changing updates on progression. So as it stands, this should be a huge focus for Blox Fruits developers. Another big problem is the gaps in between updates. Luckily this has been heavily improved upon recently compared to the months in between updates we got in 2022. But right now, we have gotten 2 updates in a fairly short time period. So let's just hope these updates continue coming out frequently, and we don't have to wait almost an entire year before a major content update drops. The last criticism I'll talk about is the fact that Blox Fruits basically profited off of One Piece's popularity and didn't really have to work on building a player base. Unfortunately, this is just going to be a complaint about Blox Fruits. A bunch of other games like Shinobi Life 2 are only popular because of the anime they are based off of, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. They found something they can create a game off of, and became successful because of it. At the end of the day, you gotta respect the grind and the fact that they were able to make a game that has made them millions of dollars. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and if you enjoyed, make sure to like the video.